Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Giridhari Radha Giridhari Radhe. Jayo Jagannath, Jayo Jagannath, Jayo Bolodev, Jayo Subhadra, Jayo Gauranitai, 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 Jayo Gauranitai. জয় জয় প্রভুপাদ প্রভুপাদ জয় প্রভুপাদ নিতাই গৌর হরি বল হরি বল হরি বল নিতাই গৌর হরি বল Hare Krishna everybody. So today we'll first read from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, and after that we'll recite and discuss one slok from Srimad Bhagavatam. So please allow me to share the screen. I am reading from the Lilamrita. So I'm reading from Lilamrita, Prabhupada Lilamrita, part 1 and chapter 33, a lot of ground to be covered, and starting from where it was ended yesterday. When Prabhupada finally spoke, he began by explaining that in the West, he was spreading the teachings of Gita as it is. Bhagavad Gita, he said, could be properly understood only in disciplic succession. Just as Arjuna, the original student of Bhagavad Gita, had understood it. The Gita was for the devotee of Krishna and should not be misinterpreted by non-devotees. To misinterpret the Gita, he said, was to cheat in the name of religion. He also spoke strongly against pseudo incarnations. Prabhupada concluded his talk and asked his disciples to begin Kirtana. It was an ecstatic, spontaneous event, and Prabhupada began dancing on stage along with his disciples. The crowd came to life and began clapping rhythmically. Hanshaduta jumped down from the stage, still playing mridanga, and began inducing members of the audience to join in chanting and dancing. Several other devotees also jumped down, and soon hundreds of people had risen to their feet, swaying, clapping, and singing, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This was the real Gita Jayanti Mahotsav. The holy name of Krishna was being sung, and everyone was happily united in the Kirtana. Greatly pleased by the performance of Prabhupada and his disciples, the pandal's directors visited Prabhupada the next day in his bungalow. Prabhupada complained at having to wait so long before he could speak. His disciples should not be required to sit through hours of speeches in a language they could not understand. When Prabhupada intimated that the speeches seriously deviated from the teachings of Gita, the director of the Gita Bhavan replied, "We do not favor any particular way. Followers of the Shankara school and others also come to our institution. We do not subscribe wholly that Krishna is the sole God or anything of that sort. This is the power behind him." Hare Krishna. So I'm stopping here. So I'll now read from Srimad Bhagavatam, and today we'll be reading from Canto 5, Chapter 12, and verse 2. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naranchaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet. Srinnatam Shakatha Krishna Punna Savana Kirtana Hridiyantasto hi abhadrani vidhunoti shurit shatam Nashto prayesho abhadreshu Nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke Bhaktir bhavati naistiki. So we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 12 and verse 2. I'm sharing the screen. So is it visible for the viewers to see it?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So I'm just reading. So reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 12 and verse 2. Jara mayartasya jathagadam sat nidhagodagdasya jatahimamaho udeho manahi vidashta drishte brahman vachaste amritam aushadam me jara mayartasya jathagadam sat nidhagodagdasya jatahimamaho udeho manahi vidashta drishte Brahman vachaste amritam aushadam me jara mayartasya jathagadam sat nidhagodagdasya yatha himambo udeho manahi vidashta drishte Brahman vachaste amritam aushadam me. So the devotees who wants to recite it can please do it now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Jara amaya artasya yata agadam shad nid agaha dagdasya yata hima ambaha kudeha manahi vidasta drishte brahman vachaste amrutam aushadam me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Madhu, please.
Jara amaya artosya jatha gadam sat nida godogdosya jatha himamboho kudeho manahi vidashta drishte brahman vachaste amritam aushadam me. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna,
Hare-
Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam. I am okay, Mataji, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's okay.
Okay, thank you, Mataji. जरामयार्तस्य यथा गदं सत् निदाघदग्धस्य यथा हिमम्भ कुदेहमाना हि विदष्टदृष्टे ब्रह्मन् वचस्ते अमृतम् औषधं मे. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Madhu, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Please.
Jyoramaya tasya yatha gadam sat nidadagadasya yatha himamba kudehamana hi vidashta drishte brahman vachaste amrit moshadham me. Hari Bol.
Hare Bol. Hare Krishna Madhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Madhu, Naigani, please continue.
Jvara mayaritasya yatha gadam sa nidhag dagdhasya yatha himamba kudeha ma nahi vidasta drishte brahman vachaste amritam as aushadham me. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Madhu. Anyone else? Then we can proceed to the synonyms then. Can any of the devotees please read the synonyms?
May I, Prabhu?
Yes, Madhuji, please.
Jwar, of a fever. Amaya, by the disease. Artasya, of a distressed person. Yatha, justice. Agadam, the medicine. Sat, right. Nidagha, dagdhasya, of one scorched by the heat of the sun. Yatha, justice. Him ambaha, very cold water. Ku deha, in this body made of matter and full of dirty things, such stool and urine, man of pride, ahi by the serpent, vidaste, bitten, driste of one whose vision, Brahman, O best of the Brahmanas, vacha, word, stay, your amritam, nectar, ausadham, medicine, may for me. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji, for it. And the devotees can please read the translation.
Yes, Prabhu, I can read.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Yeah, translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. O best of the Brahmanas, my body is filled with dirty things, and my vision has been beaten by the serpent of pride. Due to my material conceptions, I am diseased. Your nectarian instructions are the proper medicine for one suffering from such a fever, and they are cooling waters for one scorched by the heat. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare
Thank you, Mataji. And the purport, if anybody, devotees can please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The conditioned soul has a body full of dirty things, bones, blood, urine, stool, and so forth. Nonetheless, the most intelligent men in this material world think they are this combination of blood, urine, and stool. If this is so, why can't other intelligent men be made of these ingredients which are so readily available? The entire world is going on under the bodily conception and creating a hellish condition unfit for any gentleman's living. The instruction given to King Rahuguna by Jadavara are very valuable. They are like the medicine that can save one from snake bite. The Vedic instructions are like nectar and cool water for one suffering from scorching heat. Hare Krishna.
But again, thank you, Prabhu. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jana Tasmai Sri Guruve Namo Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Padamahyam Dadati Sha Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sriyata Padakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavang Cha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahavana Lalita Sri Vishakhanitangscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpotarupesha Kripa Sindhubhe Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Prabhupada Nugami Sri Shubhak Shamini Shoda Tanya Siddhi Shubhakdaya Swarvaji Vipabdaya Kurushik Sadachara Palokaya Namostute. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshotarini Namo Mahapadannaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratishe Namo Mukam Karoti Bachalam Pungum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madam Sri Guru Vinataranam Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, devotees, welcome to you all here in this morning class of Srimad Bhagavatam. Although I am not qualified, but still I am doing this service as I have been instructed to undertake this service. And it also gives me an opportunity to purify myself. So I thank you all, the devotees here, and beg for your mercy. Please bless me so that I can contribute something positive in the mission of Srila Prabhupada and my Guru Maharaj for preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to properly glorify Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, a brief background of today's verse. In this verse, we are again hearing the conversation between Maharaja Rahuguna and Jadavara. And it is a part of our journey with the soul of former Bharat Maharaj. We have learned earlier that Bharat Maharaj became dear Bharat, then Jara Bharat, and now he is speaking as a Brahman Jarabharata. We have also known that in the present life, although a very exalted and elevated devotee himself, he preferred to remain dumb and to be aloof from the external world. He has learned from his mistake of the previous life and acted like this rather, because he wanted to remain focused on the final goal of his devotional service, and he did not want to be disturbed by the material people. He was totally indifferent to the social status and what is happening to him and his body. This is possible because he is in a Brahmabhuta stage of life. And this is above all bodily conception. And we have also seen that he has preferred to remain silent because of that, because in the Brahmabhuta stage, he has preferred to remain silent when he was engaged as a palanquin carrier by the King Rahuguna's man. He was chastised by King Rahuguna for what was considered apparently not doing his duty properly. But when the right opportunity came, Jarabharata started speaking. And when King Rahuguna heard what he is telling, he soon realized that he has committed a great mistake. He then apologized to Jarabharata, knowing his position as a great devotee. And the king then requested Jarabharata to instruct him for his spiritual enlightenment. And accordingly, he gave instruction, his instruction to King Rahuguna. And all these instructions have been described in the previous chapter, and we have heard in details from various speakers of this from the earlier speakers of these instructions. But if we summarize them, we can summarize them as follows: the instruction given by Jarabharata to King Rahuguna, and these are in summary, or in essence, they are that materially attached person, those who are materially attached in this material world, and most of the people are like that, they cannot understand the absolute truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna because they are in illusion and they are absorbed in the material thoughts under the three modes of material nature and all types of sense enjoyment because they are engaged in that. And the various functions of how the mind acts, how it binds us in the material world, and how, again, the mind can be used for liberation from material bondage or the illusion. So various functions of mind he has told, and we need to control the mind. And that is the thing. And the other is the liberated soul, those who are liberated. They are completely absorbed and surrendered to the lotus feet of the Lord Sri Krishna. And their minds are always engaged in the thought of the Lord. And the conditioned souls can also be like us. We can also be liberated by taking shelter on the lotus feet of the Lord and practicing bhakti or devotional service and ignoring the dictations of the mind. We have to ignore the dictations of the mind, and we must have a controlled mind to do all this devotional service. And King Rahuguna was still doubtful about his spiritual instruction, about the instruction given by Brahman Jarabharata. So he requested him to repeat the instruction and clarify those ideas and what he could not understand. So in this chapter, he is again repeating this. And in the first verse, we have seen that Maharaj Rahuguna first offers his respect. In the first verse, you see that he has offered his respectful obeisances to Jarabharata, and Jarabharata, who previously concealed his real position. So the king could not then couldn't realize that understand how exalted and advanced devotee he was in his spiritual knowledge, and he personally regretted very much for his offense against him. And Maharaja Rahuguna was also somewhat unhappy for not being able to grasp Jarabharata's instruction, and which was so meaningful, but he could not understand them. So he has requested them to repeat, and it is being repeated here. So in this particular verse, Maharaja Rahuguna says a materialistic person could not understand him because he was bitten by the serpents of ignorance. He further said to Jarabharat, and that your words are medicine for me, and I have been bitten by the snake of false identity, which despicable body, your words are nectar, and it is amritam aushadam me. That is what he was told. And later he was cured by the, and subsequently we'll see that he was cured by the words, nectarian words of Bharata. And because he was doubtful, about the subject discussed, he made further inquiries, one after another. And it will come in the subsequent verses. But now coming to today's verse, let me read the translation of the current verse again. O best of the Brahmanas, my body is filled with dirty things. My vision has been bitten by the serpents of pride. Due to my material conception, I am diseased. Your nectarian instructions are the proper medicine for one suffering from such a fever, and they are cooling waters for one scorched by the heat. So one is suffering. Material disease, it is told it is material disease being mentioned. So what is this material disease? If we look into this, the material disease, the symptoms of material disease, we'll also discuss what is material. First, we will discuss what is material disease, and then what are the symptoms and how it can be cured. They will show that is being told. The material disease means ignorance of not knowing one's actual constitutional position, that we are servants of Krishna, and wrongly thinking that I am this body. And this was in fact stated earlier. If we recollect the instruction of King Jarabharat's father, that is King, what is it? Rishabdev, sorry. Yes, thank you, Mataji and Prabhuji. Rishabdev was instructing his son, 100th son, when he was saying that in verse 5.5.8, he was telling that one part he was mentioning, Janasya Mohoyam Ahom Mameti. Janasya Mohom, this is the illusion. The Ahom, I, and Mameti, that is mine. That what I am this body, and I am this body, and everything belong to this body in relation to the body is mine. And that's why with that thinking, based on this bodily concept, one thinks that he is my master, he is my servant, he is my wife, he is my husband, he is my son, I belong to this, I belong to this country, so I am an American, I am an Englishman, I am an Australian, I am a New Zealander, I am an Indian, and this sort of thinking, all those things relating to the body. But they forget, or they fail to understand, not forget, I will say, they fail to understand often that all these conceptions are temporary due to inevitable change of the body. The body changes, and this body we have got, this life. So all these relations I have acquired is because of with the body is temporary, and by the arrangements of the material nature, one day the things will go, and these are all temporary situations. And just like in a wave of this ocean, different haze or the grasses, they float on the water, they come together, and then they separate after the wave. By another wave, they get separated. And in this material also, everyone is floating on the wave of the ocean of nescience. And life after life, we have got different associations, and in this way it is changing. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur once told about that we are floating on the waves of Maya, and how it can be end. This condition can be terminated, and or this material disease can be terminated when we accept that we are the servants, eternal servants of Krishna, and we start acting on that way. So that is the material disease, and let us discuss that not understanding our real nature, and at the same time, affected by this disease. What are the symptoms? I am trying to explain them. So symptoms of a material disease is that we become jealous because of the body. We become and material conceptions, we become jealous. And because of a false ego and pride, when we think that we are the body and anything relating to the body is mine. And so the ego, pride, and all this comes, and we have to be free from that jealousy. That is one of the symptoms we have to get rid of. And therefore, our Krishna conscious movement and preachers, as Prabhupada in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the second verse of the first chapter of first canto, it is meant Paramoni Motsharan. So we speak of a dharma or the religion that is free from jealousy. So that is Paramoni Motsharam, or the free from all jealousy. That should be our goal. And another symptom of material disease is our unclean heart. Because we have been, for life after life, we have spent various lives in various ways, and our heart is filled with unclean substance, and we have to material desires, and we have to clean them. And only by cleaning those things, we can be, unless we clean those things, we cannot be free from the sufferings of this material world. And there are generally 3 types of sufferings in this material world. And these things are Adhyatmik, Adibhautik, and Adidoivik. Adhyatmik sufferings are means the sufferings relating to our body and mind, and the consequence of that is Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vedis, all these things. And Adibhautik is relating to the other living beings, and Adi and different living entities that can create problem for us and create problem and gives us sufferings. And this is called Adibhuti. And Adidoivik are from natural diseases like flood, droughts, cold, heat, cold, tremendous heat, cold, and all that. So these are the sufferings, and we have to, when we cleanse our heart properly, then we can get rid of the sufferings. We can know what is the reason for that, and we can rise above that. And that's why in this age, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has prescribed this, to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, to be relieved from these sufferings. And another material disease means repetition of birth and death, that we have told. And to stop this repetition of birth and death, and in fact, that is the ultimate goal of human form of life. And it should be pursued by any responsible human being. And that can be done by taking complete shelter of the Supreme Lord Krishna, hearing him, glorifying him, satisfying him by devotional service, and that is the only remedy. And that is the process used by the liberated persons. Now the question arises, how to get out of the material disease. And in fact, the answer is given, or as you have seen, Aushadam, the medicine is also provided in this verse. King Raghuna said, your nectarian instructions are proper medicine for one suffering from such a fever. And they are like cooling waters for one scorched by the heat. Just as in a summer days, when we are very much affected by heat of the sun, and there is all weather is very hot, we take we take showers, or we wash our body with cool water. In a similar way, the instruction, the instruction from the pure devotees of the Lord has a cooling effect on those suffering from this material disease. And so we have to hear from the first class and pure devotees of the Lord, and at the same time purify our heart by chanting the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is exactly what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has advised us. And in the present age in particular, in the age of Kali Yuga, and in a Shikshashtakam 8 prayers, constituting 8 prayers, the first verse starts with that, Cheto Darpana Marjana. Cheto Darpana Marjana, Bhavo Mahadabhagni Nirvapana. So to Bhavo Mahadabhagni Nirvapana means we have to extinguish the fire of this conditioned life. We have to clean our heart. And because, I think most of us know that, and I'm just reading the whole verse again. Yes. Cheto darpanam arjanam bhavo mahatabhagne nirvapanam sreyo koira puchandrika vitaranam vidya bodhu jivanam anandam buddhi vardhanam pratipadam purnam vidvashadanam sarvatma snapanam param vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. And Prabhupada is translated in this way: Glory to Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of benediction more. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. And in fact, it is very similar if we remember that in Gopi Gita also. Tava kathamritam tapta jivan. The Gopis have also told that. I think it is in 10 Canto verse 31, chapter 31, verse number 9, where it is told, where it is similarly mentioned, Tavo kathamritam tapta jivan. The words of the Lord is like an amritam for those who are suffering in the conditioned life. And now we'll now discuss a few on this topic and the importance of hearing Krishna Katha, and how we have to hear it with rapt attention and repeatedly, and we have to hear it from devotees and not from professional speakers. So on this regard, because we are in this material world and suffering, most of the people do not understand it. And so that they can understand it, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has got a very good Bengali, of course, it is in Bengali poem. He has told it and he has also sung it himself. And I'm just in a few words on that, so that relevant one here. Jeeb jago, goda chad bole, koto nidra jao, maya pisha chir kore. That is, he is telling of the conditioned people. They are living. People, one may say they are jeeb jago. One may say that I am alive, I am awakened, but no, you are not awakened because you are under the spell of Maya, and you are sleeping on that one, on the illusion. So that's why Bhaktivinoda Thakur told Jeeb Jago. The meaning is that Gurachad Bole, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is telling this. Wake up and sleep, sleeping souls, wake up. Sleeping souls, how long will you sleep in the lap of your Maya? And you have forgotten. I'm just reading the English translation only, so that I'm not losing other time for that. So you have forgotten the way of devotional service and are lost in the world of birth and death. I have descended just to save you. Other than myself, you have no friend in this world. I have brought the medicine, again the medicine he is telling, that will wipe out the disease of illusion from which you are suffering. Take this Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So this is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur has prescribed, who is a great acharya in our tradition, that by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and awaking from this, from the influence of Maya, we can develop we should rather develop our devotional service in that line, so that we will not be affected by the scorching heat of this material disease. And now, next one is so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told it, and after that and Krishna Katha, hearing Krishna Katha is repeatedly is very crucial for our purification and spiritual growth. And it is very pleasing, and it removes the impurities, and it cultivates devotion and brings closer to Krishna by detachment from the material desire. When you speak of hearing of Krishna Katha, we can take the example of Parikshit Maharaj. It's very relevant in this regard. We all know the story of Parikshit Maharaj. He was a great king and a great devotee of Lord Krishna. But while he was when he was once when he was hunting, he was on a tour, he appeared before the house of Shomik Rishi and asked for a glass of water. but no one responded. And as a king, he thought that he has not been properly treated for that moment. But Swami Rishi at that time was in a trance meditation, and he could not hear it. And so Parikshit Maharaj thought that has not been properly treated. As a king, he deserves it, because in our Vedic system, any person who comes to your house, he is to be treated properly, and he has to be given all sorts of respect. But he did not receive it, and he considered that Swami Rishi has not performed his duty properly, and therefore he just a dead snake. He garlanded him with a dead snake and came back. But his son, Shringi, who was a young boy, who heard from his friend that the Parikshit Maharaj has done this, so he cursed him, and he told him he will die in 7 days. So we see he made a great mistake, because he has considered he has judged Parikshit Maharaj only by one incident, but he was otherwise a great king, great devotee, and he was a finest administrator also. And if we look at he has also faced Koli and also pardoned him. I mean, because he considered he has looked at the good aspect of the Kali Yuga, and that's why allowed him to stay in a restricted way. So if we and so that is one side of his greatness, but unfortunately, because of the curse of Sringi Rishi, he has to die within 7 days. That was the curse he gave. And when he heard it, he accepted it as a plan of the Lord. And in fact, although we have lost a great king like Parikshit Maharaj, but we have, at the same time, we are fortunate that he had the opportunity to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. And Bhagavatam is very nice, and it is non-different from the Lord. But at the same time, we must also take note of the point that when it was spoken by Shukdev Goswami, pure devotee of the Lord, it became even sweeter. And that's why we have to hear from a pure devotee, and the example of hearing by Parikshit Maharaj from Shukdev Goswami is an exemplary, example before us, how we should hear it. And Shukdev Goswami, he was telling, while he was hearing, I'm not going to the details of how, the details of this incidents on that. But one thing, what I'm trying to make a reference here is that Shukdev Goswami was being told by Parikshit Maharaj that when he is hearing the Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami, how the life of Sri Krishna is charming, how beautiful it is. And it is given in Canto 10, chapter 7, and verse 1, the first verse and second verse. And King Parikshit Maharaj said to Shukdev Goswami, my Lord Shukdev Goswami, all the various activities exhibited by the different incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are certainly pleasing to hear and to the mind. So it is very pleasing to hear, to the ear, as well as to the mind. I think the exact word he has used is karoti ramyani monogyani cha. So karnani means karna means yes, and ramyani is very pleasing, and monogyani means mind. Simply by hearing these activities, he's telling further, simply by hearing these activities, the dirty things in one's mind immediately vanish. Generally, we are reluctant to hear about the activities of the Lord, but Krishna's childhood activities, he's just referring on the childhood activities. In fact, all the activities of Krishna's are very pleasing, and they apply both. They are pleasing both to the ear and as well as to the mind. Is the reluctant to hear about the activities of the Lord, but Krishna's childhood activities are so attractive that they are automatically pleasing to the mind and ear. It further said, Jot Srinnato Poiti Orotir Vittishna Sattam cha shuddhayati or achirena pumsam bhakti harau tat purusho cha shakhyam. That means it is telling that the one's attachment for hearing for material things, which is the root cause of material existence, as we have seen, that everybody is attached to the material things. So one's attachment for hearing material things, which is the root cause of material existence, vanishes. And one gradually develops devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Attachment for him and friendship with devotees, which gives the contribution of Krishna consciousness. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport of this verse is very carefully captures the essence of the Krishna consciousness movement. He says that the root cause of all our suffering is due to various material desires. And however, this root cause of suffering can be removed by a revival of our Krishna consciousness. So if we revive our Krishna consciousness, we all of us inside us, the Lord is present in our heart. But we have to revive that. Because of our unclean heart, we cannot understand that. The revival fundamentally begins by hearing and chanting about Krishna. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam and similar other like Bhagavad Gita also gives us chance to hear about Krishna. And generally, in general, I'm talking about the material people, have no attraction for hearing about Krishna. And this is the root cause of our suffering. And in these two verses, we have just explained verse 1 and 2 of the chapter 7 of verse 10, canto 10. If we analyze carefully, it brings, if we hear repeatedly, it says what is the essential point it is trying out is that repeatedly hearing Krishna Katha, two things disappear and three things appear. What are the two things? First, it disappears. It vanishes the distaste for hearing chanting. Generally, people have distaste for hearing. That ends. And what begins, and another thing, it ends, and our material desire. So it vanishes the desire not hearing Krishna and the desire for material things. Both in one sense, our attachment to the material things. When we have attachment for material desires, we have hankering for material things, that both diminishes. And in fact, the word Horirishwara, I think there is a word, it was mentioned, Horirishwara. That Horirishwara, Hori means, the word Hori is the Lord, Supreme Lord, and Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is an explanation of the word Hori. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhulila, and chapter 24 and verse 59, it is told that Hori Shabde Nanartho Dui Mukhotomo Sarva Mongol Hore Prem Diya Hare Mon. That means the word Hori has many meanings, but two of them are foremost. And what are they? One meaning is that Lord takes away all inauspicious things from his devotees. And the second meaning is that he attracts the mind by aesthetic love for God. So both these 2 points are covered here, that he vanishes our distaste for hearing and ends our material desire. And Ishwar means the controller. So the Lord attracts our internal and external senses, and the mind has no inclination to hear about Krishna. And even if it has, there are various other desires. But hearing about Krishna, when we hear about Krishna, vanishes our disinclination and material desire. And so these are the two things, the unwanted things it takes away. And what are the things that appears? Sattam, or purity. The heart becomes purified by hearing about Krishna, and all our lust, anger, greed, pride, envy, illusion, madness disappear from our heart. And the qualities such as sense of selflessness, tolerance, compassion, humility, and start to arise. And when we hear the Lord, all these good qualities appear. So all that, and whatever we talk about, hear about, desire and aspire about, and it gradually arise in our heart. All these good qualities appear in our heart. When the heart becomes pure because of destruction of impure desire, and it becomes the body is the mind becomes capable of hearing the Rosho or the of the Lord, of the word of the Lord, and it creates bhakti in our mind, and it becomes friendship with the devotees. So by hearing bhakti or the prema of the Lord, who attracts the devotees, and so the pastimes of Krishna should be properly heard from the devotees. And in fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, in the first canto, chapter 2nd and verse number 17 onwards, 16 to 21, there is a flow of the chain of events, how by hearing Krishna Katha, we can develop bhakti, how it develops bhakti in our mind is given. I'm trying to briefly to that, and so that we can understand what it is. It starts with the verse 16. Shususho Shuddhadhanascha Vasudevo Katharuchi Shanmahat Shevaya Vipro Punnos Tirtani Shevanat. By hearing the pure devotees, one gains affinity for hearing Vasudeva or Krishna, Lord Krishna. That is in 16. And 17, I have also chanted in the morning, before starting that, when Srinnatam Shakata Krishna Punnasravana Kirtana Ridyantostoya Vadrani Vidunati Shurichatam. So Lord Sri Krishna is the benefactor of all devotees. He is seated in our heart as Paramatma, and cleanses the heart for the devotees who have desire to hear the message. And in 7:18, I'm just telling the English verse, just the meaning and not the Sanskrit verse. By rendering, when we render service to the devotees, to the pure devotees, Bhagavatas, and by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, all the impurities of the heart almost completely removed, and an irreversible loving service is established in the heart. So when we hear that, it establishes loving service for the Lord. And when we do that, it removes the vices of passion and ignorance that we have, and makes one happy, and he is placed in the mode of goodness. When irreversible love for the service of the God is established, then the vices of passion and ignorance is removed and we are placed in the mode of goodness. And in that mode of goodness, when that mode of goodness arises in our mind, we can understand the science of Krishna in the liberated way. When we become liberated in one sense, and we are able to hear the Lord of the message of the Krishna properly. Otherwise, in our contaminated heart, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is told, we cannot understand the Krishna. But when it is purified, we can understand him. And when we hear that way, the hard knot of binding, that is the false ego, that is the great binding, considering ourselves as the body, that binding is gone. The hard knot in the heart, and all misgivings and fruitive actions, they are all terminated, and one can see the Lord properly. So this is in brief the purpose of hearing, purpose of, not the purpose, the result of hearing Krishna, for the effects in our body. It cures the disease, and also purifies us and gives us the opportunity to hear the Lord properly. And another thing, we have to, just as a matter of caution, we must hear the Krishna Katha, but we must hear from devotees. And Krishna Katha should be heard only from devotees. And while speaking, I think in Shukdev Goswami was telling to Parikshit Maharaj that when he was speaking to Parikshit Maharaj while speaking Bhagavatam, he was telling, I think it is in 6, 17 and 40, it is there. It is told that Chitraketu, he was telling to Shukdev, to Parikshit Maharaj, Chitraketu's story, and he was telling that this Harikatha should be heard from Vishnu Bhaktanam, from the devotees of Vishnu only. And anything about devotional service, the characteristics of the Lord and his devotees must be heard from a devotee and not from a professional reciter. Prabhupada has also cautioned us about that, and because in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes also, his secretary, Swarup Damodar Goswami has advised that one learn the history of, learn the story of Bhagavatam from a devotee. Jaha Bhagavat Pado Vaishnava Sthane. You hear Bhagavad, that means one should hear the statements of Srimad Bhagavatam from a prophet, not from a professional reciter, but from a devotee. Because if you hear from professional person, it doesn't become effective. And in fact, quoting Padma Puran, Sri Sanatana Goswami has strictly forbidden us to hear Bhagavatam from a Vaishnava person. He told, Avaishnava Mukhat Giram Putam Hari Katham Sinnatam Naiva Kartavyam Sarpochishta Yathapai. Means one should not hear Krishna Katha from a non-Vaishnava, because milk touched by the lips of a serpent has poisonous effect. And similarly, talks about Krishna given by a non-Vaishnava are also poisonous. One must be bona fide devotee, and then we can preach and impress the devotional service upon the listeners. So in this way, we have to hear Srimad Bhagavatam and similar other Bhagavad Gita and other Chaitanya Charita and similar other Shastra books. But we should always remember to hear from the devotees and not from the Vaishnavas. And in this way, we can cure our material disease, and which is explained in this verse. And Srila Prabhupada has very nicely created ISKCON, and it is meant for the religion of Nimat Sharanam, for completely free from jealousy. That should be the goal of that should be the method by which we can transcend the material mode of our existence, and that is what here in this verse we see that Jaro Bharat or Jaro Bharat is telling to Rishabdev. Sorry, Jaro Bharat is telling to Maharaj, King Rahugana. So in this way, I'm concluding. So by saying this, I'm concluding my class. If anybody has any realization, any comments to make, please make. And if I have committed any mistake, please point out. I am happy to hear from you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna
Thank
Prabhu,
you very
Dandavat
much
Pranam.
for digging out all the important points of this text too. How we understand Jaravarat in its three different stages, and how it is important to hear from an authorized speaker, which is the really pure devotee of the Lord, and how it affects the hearing into our mind, and what should be the ways to hear it, and how it really affects our way of life. You nicely mentioned is really important. And here we can see from the story how in further conversation with Rahuguna finally understood the importance of Jadabharat, whom he treated so badly in the beginning, but slowly understood the importance from his speech, that there is not an ordinary person, is a highly elevated person. Now I should take the opportunity to hear something about Bhagavat Dharma, which is the real goal of our life. And he finally heard about everything from Jadabharat and Jarud systematically, and made him understood the importance of our life and the goal of life, and how to get it and revive it and continue it for the rest of our life as an important step of spiritual advancement. So you nicely mentioned that the way how to control the mind, that last chapters concluded that way, and now next part, how to get involved in the spiritual activities, and that is only hearing from a pure devotee of the Lord, because he is none other than the Supreme Lord himself in the place of a spiritual master, speaking the glories of the Lord. So if we hear the uh, glories of the Lord from the right source, that only affects us in a positive way to change our status of mind from ignorance, passion, and finally to goodness, and ultimately Shuddha Sattva. And that is possible when you hear from a right source. And Prabhupada on and on spoke about these things to hear from a pure Vaishnava, not from any other source, because that can inflict your mind in other way. That's why Bhagavatam Canto 1 and that chapter 2 is the right source of all this information. As you mentioned, text from 16 to 21 is the way how to understand, how to maintain, and how to keep it going by the text 16 to 21, that is Shususha Sadashaya Vasudeva Kataruchi Swan Mahat Shevaya Vipra Punna Tirtha Nishevana Shivatam Shakata Krishna Punna Savana Kirtana Hridayantastahi Abhadrani Vidhunoti Shudichardam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nittam Bhagavata Shevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nastati Tada Rajastama Bhava Kamalovaschaya Chetayetu Anaviddam Sitam Sadve Prasidati Evam Prasanna Manas Evam Prasanna Manasa Bhagavad Bhakti Yogata Bhagavad Tatta Vijnana Mukta Sangajayate Vidyate Hridayagantis Chiddante Sarva Samshaya Shiyante Chasya Karmani Krishna Eva Atma Nishari. So that is the way how we understand. When you hear from the right source, these stages come up and you can understand the Lord, and then you can see. When you ask for, can you show us the Lord? This is the way how you can see the Lord. Seeing the Lord means understanding the Lord, His presence in your heart is the right information and right context. Not to see physically, not to, even Srila Prabhupada often say, don't try to see the Lord in His presence. It is not needed. If you follow the steps, you will automatically feel the presence of the Lord. And that is how this Vedic instruction and the Krishna Katha help us to come up from the stage of ignorance to Shuddha Sattva. So thank you very much for explaining in details how this happens and how it works and how it is beneficial from hearing the Krishna Katha from the right source, not from a professional one who may divert your attention not to the right direction. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much for summing up the things very nicely. Thank you once again, Hare Krishna. If any other person have any other comments, please, you can make it now, and I'm happy to hear from all of you. Hare Krishna, anybody else? So it appears there is no other person to make comments, so hopefully we can conclude the class now.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। हिज ग्रेस अभय चरण प्रभु की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। हरे कृष्णा। Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna for nice class.
Hare Krishna.